Grand Rising, I'm Ron Usha, and welcome to another show of conversations on the spiritual journey. Today I'm speaking with Mieke. Grand Rising, Mieke.
We are all Grand Rising, I hope.
Fantastic. I'm just going to read a short bio that Mieke sent me. Mieke is a yoga therapist with an understanding of neuroscience. She has created her own vitality program, which is effective for reducing stress and improving the immune system. She regularly immerses herself in cold waters, if not in frozen lakes in Sweden's or ponds in London's Hyde Park. She can be found in the North Sea.
Yes.
Thank you, Mieke. So Mieke, what led you to beginning a yoga practice?
Okay. So I will explain you how that happened. It started when I was like 10 years old or something. A woman came to our school. And it was very random. It was a one-off thing. She came to teach yoga or share yoga. It's very vague, the whole reason why she came and and so on. But I remember that she said something like, "Now breathe in through your feet, breathe out through your head," something like that. And for me, it was a real profound experience. And I remember, I like this. It was something, yeah, profound. And I remember maybe it was because I was kind of very active child, quite easily excited, but also very I found it very difficult to make decisions. If I went to a playground, I would look around and get so excited, not knowing where to go in. So I think it was just this sense of peace in my mind that I noticed. And I remembered that. And then when I was when I first moved to London, that was in my early 20s. It was very easy to find yoga classes. So I started doing regular. That was the yoga practice. In my teenage years, I was also very if you're talking about spiritual journey, we are having conversations on the spiritual journey. A spiritual path for me started as a teenager. I was sort of finding it quite a challenging time being a teenager. And my mom's twin sister, she was involved within the Catholic Church in something called the charismatic renewal, where people would come together in contemplative prayer. And I used to go there for weekends, for youth, and basically what we would be doing was just sit in a circle with people and just be still. And then the Holy Spirit, we would be there, or they would be in the midst. And then people would share um, their experience after. People would say if they felt some guidance for other people that they could share with, so on. But that to me was very real and a very big part in my life. That I think that's when I started like a daily spiritual practice from then on, always. But I just felt, okay, this is not, unfortunately, this cannot just, well, fortunately, maybe, this cannot just be for the Catholic or the Christians. I felt this is just something for everyone. This is, and then I started, and also I found it quite similar to that experience of my yoga experience as well, like the stillness and the peace and so on. And then when I was my first job in the mountains as well, my first job was because I studied tourism. I was a guide in Austria, bringing Dutch tourists to Austria and then doing walking trips with them in the mountains. And in the beginning, I felt quite lonely because I didn't know any people there. And also, I didn't have any guests yet because they sent me there 1 week before the guest arrived. And I had 1 week to just find out all the walks. I had never even been in the mountains. And in the tour, in the holiday brochure, it says a holiday, or like this is a holiday with an experienced tour guide. And so it was kind of a bit scary as well, but I felt lonely. Well, and then I was there one morning and I was just thinking, it was the first time also away from home, from my parents and so on. So I'm there on top of the mountain and thinking, God, where are you? And I'm praying. And then all of a sudden it was everywhere. I was like, oh, it's everywhere. And so it was like this unique experience I felt there, which for a while, at that time, at the end of that summer, I was devastated. I had to leave the place because I felt it was only there. Now we know better, but at that time, for me, it was very much like, oh, this is something I experienced here, and now I know that this is something we can experience anywhere. But in the yoga practice, it helps you to connect with that part of you and feel that as well, I think. So that's why I could very easily, clearly feel the connection of all these experiences from my teenage years and the childhood thing, and then the mountain experience, and then the yoga was something that I felt uh, I wanted to learn more about, like, how does this work? Yeah, and then that is a very interesting as well, what you then find out on this path, because there are so many different directions and so many different teachings as well, and that can be also confusing, but very interesting if you remain curious, but grounded. So now I said a lot.
There are so many different kinds of yoga, Ashtanga, Hatha. Did you have a particular form that you preferred?
Oh, well, so I started, yeah. Um, I, I started when I started experiencing all these different forms. I think all of them bring you something different in terms. Some of them make you more grounded. Others give you more energy. In the practice itself, like the Hatha yoga is really the yoga that is uh, all of the other yoga practices, like what you were just mentioning, for example, Ashtanga, then you have Iyengar, then you have Kundalini, and there's all these different, and also the Bikram, but they all come from Hatha yoga, which is like the physical preparation for meditation, really, to prepare your body for meditation. And I think what I quite liked at that time, the more like I really practiced Ashtanga for a long time, but then I was much younger, and it helped me in maybe the excess energy and sort of and so on. And then I really admire the Iyengar, because the Iyengar practice, for example, is very focused on the alignment. And these teachers are very precise, and they really followed the instructions of Iyengar, and I found that also interesting. But in a way, I think, um, yeah, all of them are. The essence is to be in the present. What I found, for me, why I like to practice so much is the whole fact of being present in the now moment, and then it doesn't really matter too much which one you do, which form of yoga you practice, because you are present. Of course, I think maybe it helped that I was already quite a grounded person, that I recognize when a type of yoga would maybe be a little bit too much. Because, for example, if someone who is very unstable um, goes into for example, Kundalini yoga class, this is a Kundalini, because most of your viewers might not know much about yoga. I don't know if they do or not, but Kundalini can be quite vigorous and lots of breathing. And if your nervous system is not very strong, or you are emotionally unstable, then this can be too much for you. And also if you are a very open person, it can make you very like lightheaded. And so, but it's a wonderful practice. And there are, if I was to get someone in my class, and that's why I always ask afterwards, how are you feeling? Because if someone is not so feeling so grounded, then I know as well different techniques that will help them to ground themselves again. But for me, really, yoga is a way to be in the present. I feel that all of us have can connect through this yoga practice to their own source. And I'm saying own source because I feel it's important that you know yourself, and because you can open yourself up for many other energies that maybe can, if, and that's why yoga can be, it can be confusing. Um, if you also have the different teachers, for me, I feel it's very important that you find your own guru, and that is very important. And yeah, so that's why I don't actually even. I am quite. That's well. We come to Wim Hof later because you know that part of my program is also Wim Hof teaching. Wim Hof is a Dutch person like me. He's a yogi. He's proper yogi, even though he doesn't. It's another form of yoga. It actually comes from Tumo meditation, his breathing style, and it's more similar to Kundalini. But yeah, Wim's teaching I liked as well because he also teaches us that this is all of the other teachers. I mean, I have a lot of respect for all yoga teachers, and all of them bring me a lot. But every teacher that I found that became too religious, um, I felt from an early age that religion is not for me. Everyone is free to choose, but for me, religion is something from the old system, and all different types of yoga I find as well. It's now time for something else, and it's people need to live their own truth. The teachings, if a teacher tells you you can't do this, you can't do that, and a lot of teachers, so it's not always bad, because some teachers maybe use the fear to show you where you need to go. But sometimes there are also teachers that are maybe that's where the discernment comes in, where people that have a huge following and are using it for maybe not the right reasons, or they are themselves following, are maybe not free themselves. But we go deep now because before this program I was thinking it's so important that it's important that we are, and one of the most important things as well is that we do learn to be present with ourselves, and that becomes an enjoyable experience. Sometimes, yeah, yoga is a way to show you first the dark side inside of you. We all have to face that in order to see the light.
What do you think the role of the teacher is? You just glance upon it there. The role of a teacher.
To show someone how to find their own teacher inside themselves. Yeah.
Because it seems that quite often you'll see a student stay with a teacher for a long time, or they project images and views onto the teacher. And again, then they're not looking within themselves, they're looking at the teacher to give them something, which seems to happen quite a lot. What's your thoughts on
that? So can you repeat the question? The question is?
Yeah, so a lot of times people will go to a teacher
Yeah.
and they will kind of put them on a pedestal. They have
Oh,
this, they have something else. I don't have it. I have to get it from them.
yeah. No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. And I would, no, no, big no, no,
Mm.
no,
Mm.
no. Every person is actually every form of life, every person. You have to celebrate every person, and every person is a god on its own. You know. Yeah. Every person, even the ones that we might struggle with, especially, well, all of them. Everyone has their own path and their own, you can learn from everyone. And yeah.
As you went on to Wim Hof, let's go there, because one of the reasons that I joined your class was because you were one of the few people who mentioned Wim Hof, and I'd heard of it.
Those days, because we're
Yes,
talking a long time ago.
yes,
This was, I think, 2015, something like what, long. I
yes,
think I just had done the whole training in Poland experience.
yes, because you had those photos of yourself in the snow, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. So can you tell us what you learned from Wim Hof and the cold weather
Mhm.
training, and also what you were speaking about us to do, which was the cold showers
Mhm.
and the swimming.
Yes. So yes, in 2014, in 2012, I went with Wim Hof on a or 14. I can't remember now. Well, I went on a week's training with Wim Hof to learn more about his methods, because in my class and with my clients, a lot of my clients had autoimmune problems. And my brother had told me that Wim Hof's, well, had been on the Dutch television talking about his method, and it was researched by a Dutch hospital, and it helped people with autoimmune conditions. So I started to look him up on YouTube, started to do some of his breathing exercises. And also, some of my clients, I started to do these exercises with them, and they really started to feel better. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna have a look if I can do more and learn more about his cold stuff and so on. And then I went to Poland for a week, and I booked the tickets, and I went in with an open mind, because I thought, okay, I didn't look at any of the stuff he was doing in the rivers and so on, because I thought maybe I'm gonna get very nervous. So I just decided to go, and we were with a group of like only 10 or 12 people. So it was a very intimate group, and the house that we stayed in was like very basic. I slept in one bedroom with all bunk beds, with everyone, well, most of the people in one bedroom like that. And it was, um, yeah, kind of a remote, like an old kind of little farm. Like if I opened the door of the bedroom, the door handle would fall out, say. So it was kind of very basic. Nice little place. And then the first day we started to, already in the morning, there was no program or anything. So Wim, everyone was curious, what is the program, what is the program? And he said, no, there's no program. So everything was unfolding, as it were. He would just see how everyone was doing. We would wake up, we would not allowed to have any breakfast, do 1 hour or more of the breathing exercises, and then we would have to put on our bikinis or shorts, and then go out in the snow doing exercises, and so on. And then after that, we would have a little cup of tea or so, and then we would go to this ice cold river down the back of his garden. It was the most stunning nature there in Poland. And already the first day, everyone just went in. It was like, he would just say, okay, stay calm, breathe, and that was it. And yeah, I thought I wanted to go there because I wanted to find out the maybe, you know, which people can't do it, what you have to be careful with certain population, you know, with people with heart attacks or whatever. But actually, Wim was saying, no, everyone can do it. um, yeah, it was, I came back. um, it actually really took me so out of my own comfort zone, and I learned, um, yeah, it took a lot of fear that I had before. um, I felt not afraid anymore, you know, especially fear of the unknown, and kind of deeper fears, even about maybe even fear, yeah, because I think the cold is such a big shock. um yeah, it was very transformational. I cannot explain, but it's, I think after I came back from that trip, it was much easier for me to stay, to commit to my practice. If I would feel maybe a little bit out of balance, I knew that the cold shower would very quickly bring me back into my body or ground me. So I would do that. Plus, the breathing techniques have really helped, um, personally as well, with joint pains that I used to have that I don't really have anymore. I don't think I really have had any flu since I, or any ill, you know, I've not been ill since that trip either. Um, yeah, and it's just been, yeah, it was a transformational experience. Also, maybe to see someone, like to have the experience to be, to speak to someone that, in my eyes, you were just saying, there's people, they put their teachers on a pedestal because of his physical abilities, and also actually, being in his presence, you could just feel that he was a very strong, like, energy. And it was very, and also the way he lives, you know, he lived up till then, like, he really was just living from moment to moment. um, and you could tell by how it was on that week. There was no program. He was very, you could speak with him like very easy. But after that week, it was also, yeah, um, and then then it was okay, then he became very famous, which is, but it's lovely to see, because when I was in Poland, it was still a dream for him, like he wanted to change the world. But I feel, and I remember asking, because I was interested to know why he thought it was so important that everyone knew about this. But now we are in these times. I think, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's big. It is important. I mean, it always has been important, but now it looks kind of in the world. A lot of people, I think, are waking up now, and a lot of people will benefit from. I think because it's such a easy practice to do, to take the cold shower, and it's such a powerful way to strengthen your immune system, that I think it's wonderful to see that so many people are now doing this worldwide.
Does the cold shower work on a physical and on an emotional level as well? So you can release like emotional traumas in the body.
Yes, I feel that you can. Um, but the reason why yeah, and it's difficult to say, is that because of the cold shower, or is that because you are really present? Because I think when you are present and you feel emotions coming up and you stay present with them, then you can release these emotions, just by being present. But because the cold shower brings you so easily in the present, that's why I think it's, do you understand what I mean? That's why I think it's very easy for everyone, because what I've noticed in a lot is that a lot of people are not at all in their body. So they would find it very difficult to release emotions or to process emotions because they can actually not even feel their body. So the cold showers, and especially going into cold, like a cold lake or a cold bath even, I think that's better than shower. Um, yes, it's a great way to start to feel your body, and then feel whatever is coming up and release it. Also in the Kundalini yoga practice, there is also, they have a practice called Ishnan, and that is actually also cold water immersion. So it's not just Wim Hof. Of course, this is something that has been going on for, it's an old practice that people go into extreme cold to, I think it's also to come back into the body, but also to feel and release. I feel that it's clearing out a lot of blockage from our energy body, the cold.
I think it's like what you said, like when you do even extreme sports, you have to be in the present moment when you're doing these extreme sports. And I guess being submerged in the cold, just feeling it, you're forced into the present. And I think Eckhart Tolle even says that, and when you're facing pain of some sort, physical pain, you're in the present moment, which then allows you to look at the thoughts and emotions and the feelings which arise.
Yes, and now you're mentioning Eckhart Tolle. I love Eckhart Tolle. I love the power of now, because that's the only moment, the now moment. That's where the power is. And you're right. Pain can be such a helpful tool if we listen to our pain and allow it to feel it. But if you're really being present, you can feel the pain change, and it can be really enjoyable. Well, not well. It can almost become like a part of your practice. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Eckhart Tolle, it allows me to go into the next thing I was going to ask you about, which is the TRE, the tremor relief experience. Could you please tell us first about tremoring, and I'll tell you why I thought of Eckhart Tolle.
I find it also interesting because there is, I will talk about Eckhart Tolle again later then, but TRE, it's also called tension release exercises or trauma release exercises. And it's part of my program. I had at one time in my life, I had some miscarriages, and it was a kind of painful and traumatic time in my life. And I felt that even the yoga practice I found didn't really help me to release the stress that I could feel in my body. And also being present with it didn't help. I really needed something else. So I found Shiatsu Massage very helpful. I don't know if you know Shiatsu Massage, but it's like a deep pressure points of massage, and it works on your energy body. And I felt the woman that I found, the practitioner, she was very good, and she understood the body very well. And she noticed that my psoas muscle, that's spelled PSOAS, psoas, was very tight. And apparently in the Western world, a lot of people have a very tight psoas muscle because of the way we live. We are constantly in this kind of fight or flight. So we are sending signals to this psoas muscle then is contracted and we are sending signals to the brain that we're not safe. And then this cortisol hormone is being released. So she said your psoas muscle is very tight, and she mentioned that there was an American woman called Liz Koch who's written a whole book about this psoas muscle. So I bought the book, read that book, was very interesting. And then this woman came to England for a workshop, and my shiatsu therapist and I, we went together to that workshop. We learned a few techniques to release the psoas, but there wasn't really something very easy, or it was still quite difficult because it was with tennis balls and so on to get that deep into the psoas muscle. But then a year or so later, when I did my yoga therapy training, there was a woman from Norway in my training, and she, in one lunch hour, she said, in the lunch hour, I'm going to do TRE. It's called tension or trauma release exercises, and it's to do with releasing the psoas muscle. And then I was like, oh, I need to learn about this. So I went in this lunch hour. She showed us how it worked, the TRE, and well, my body started to tremor a little and shake a little, and I was straight away thinking, oh, this is very profound. I need to learn more about this. So I went online and looked where I could do the training to become a certified practitioner, and that's what I then did. So what happens is, when animals go through a traumatic experience, they tremor and they shake, but we don't do that. So we keep all the tension in the body. This TRE is a way to evoke the natural tremoring mechanism. And it starts with a few exercises to really make the legs tired and work the muscles of the legs. The lactic acid is building up. And then you go and lie on your back in a certain position. And very slowly, the legs start tremoring. And sometimes it starts to move up into the upper body. And your body is so intelligent. It has a memory and it knows exactly where it's holding the tension. So it's a wonderful way for the body to release all this tension. And afterwards, people feel it's also very grounding, and people feel very calm. And the beauty of it is that it's something that people can do themselves. They can, after you learn it from a practitioner, you can do it in your own time. And it's also been used with people with post-traumatic stress disorder and veterans in the US. They also use the TRE.
Yeah, because I found that really useful, because I think I was doing it before, but of course I didn't know it was called trauma release. Because I think so often you're told, if you're nervous or you're scared or something's happened, keep still. When really we want to, if we just allow the body to just tremble as it is or shake, we can let it all go. But we store it all inside and we keep it in there. And it seems to go deep within ourselves, and it can stay there, of course, if we don't ever release it.
Yes. So what was you because you said Eckhart Tolle and the shaking.
So he gave the example of two swans fighting. When you watch two swans fight, straight away they will swim away, and then they will flap their wings to get rid of all of the excess energy that they had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I find it similar to the cold water, because the cold water also, what the cold water does, it activates our sympathetic nervous system, and it works very hard. But then therefore afterwards you become deeply relaxed. And the same with the TRE. When we are in the process of the shaking, there is a lot of movement and a lot of sympathetic nervous system going on. And then afterwards, people feel very deeply relaxed and back into their bodies as well.
Yes, because I think, over time, also we store so much layer upon layer of feelings and emotions. I think the tremoring can go deep into that. So, and if you're present, you can go underneath, because the initial feeling may not be the one which is causing the issue if you get deeper and deeper.
Yes, and this is it. It really teaches people to go into their bodies, and especially sometimes it's the very subtle tremors that are under the bigger tremors that are releasing. And then very often they also get certain insights of, that's how it's so fascinating how the mind and body are connected, how then they feel sometimes that certain memories are coming to the surface that they can then release as well.
Have you had yourself or heard in your classes of people who've had very, well, let's call it extreme experiences after doing the TRE?
Mhm. What I hear very often is that they feel, I've had feedback that people feel very happy, like they feel a happiness that they have not felt since childhood. So I think that's quite a profound and big experience. Um, and I had one woman, maybe you were in my class at that time, because it was on a Sunday evening in the Tabernacle in Notting Hill. And there was one woman, and she started laughing in the TRE so much. She started laughing and laughing. And then she got up and she walks towards me, and she falls into my arms, and she starts crying. And she said, "You know, Mieke, all my friends know this about me, but I cannot laugh." So this was, I found as well, like huge for her. This was huge. And the thing was, she had it, everyone was laughing because she was, her laugh was so contagious. So this was obviously a very big release for her. Yes, and then yeah, there are people that say that, but those, I think these are big things, like that people feel. Also, they feel sometimes that there are memories coming back from the past, but they don't have to be necessarily traumatic, but also very random, like people that they come into their minds and so on. So, and what is very interesting is that very often when there's people in one space doing the TRE together, people are moving in the same way. So their bodies are making similar movements. Unexplainable. It's very interesting.
Do you think that is a energetic vibration going on within the class that we are all connecting to at that time?
Yes, and you know, it happens also on Zoom. I can see everyone, the tremor and the little windows, and then I see people move the same way, because it's not always so much like the shaking. There's also sometimes people very slowly making this rocking movement, and then I see one person starting, and then I see more people starting to do it. It's incredible.
I guess it's quite, if we come from the consciousness first model, and then there's a universal connection anyway, whether you're in London, New York, Australia,
Yes,
if we can vibrationally connect, we're all going to be on that. We've all tuned in to the kind of the same wavelength on the radio. So we're
yes,
all rocking and working together.
yes,
And I guess that shows them how powerful we are,
yes,
and the practice is. Also, when we let
yes.
go of the idea of me and the other, there is just a kind of it's
Yeah,
happening. Meditation is not done by you. Meditation is happening.
it's happening. Yes, yes.
So in your classes, we have yoga from um, different backgrounds. We have the TRE.
Mhm.
You talk about the cold, so you brought it all together.
Yeah, and Qigong.
And Qigong, yes, yes. Can you talk about the Qigong as well?
Yes, so interestingly enough, the Qigong, I was introduced to Qigong while I went to an Eckhart Tolle event, because it was his wife was teaching Qigong. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. 4 hours with the wife of Eckhart Tolle for the same as 2 hours with Eckhart. And then I met my Qigong teacher, who used to be Eckhart Tolle's landlady. It's quite interesting. It was it was actually, and the way she was teaching Qigong was, and that's why I like it, because, I found these kind of people in my life that really helped me, and that were kind of on a similar path of, it's in the now. And she was actually combining Eckhart Tolle's teaching with Qigong, because she felt those two went very well together. So the type of Qigong that I do is really the same as with the TRE. My aim in my classes is for everyone to be in the now moment. So it's about being present. And in my Qigong as well, it's not inviting, it's just to be present in your own energy. And you can make it by the movement, you are being present. And I like people to really feel that the power is within themselves. And by being in this Qigong, actually we shake a lot in the Qigong as well. So that's, again, it's like shaking the body and then really being present and connected to your own source connection, strengthening the connection with your source. And then by shaking and by moving, allowing all this old stuff to come up, and by being present with it all, that's when we can transmute. So that's how that's my, and in a way, maybe that's how I was taught Qigong by my teacher. And that's why I feel it was the right teacher for me, because it was very simple. She didn't talk about, some of the Tai Chi and Qigong and also yoga can be very, has to be very precise, or they would say if you make one little movement wrong, then that can cause damage or something. I don't, but my teacher was like, no, it's like we are in the now, and this is so it and still doing Qigong, but very simple. That there is not really no right or wrong, but you can just it's just a way to strengthen the connection with your own source, and therefore become stronger in your energy field, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean when I say that there are yeah, and I love to look at people with Tai Chi, and it's very, but the Qigong that I do is simple, because again, I am, for me, it's just the most important thing is that people feel again themselves and their bodies, and through their bodies connect to themselves, because so many people are disconnected, and that's the only thing. And then when people are reconnecting, then they can find out for themselves all this beautiful, all the fruits of this practice, what it gives you. And if you start to do this again, because I think in the world now, a lot of people, I feel a lot of people are waking up because of the situation we are in. And there is, but it's a good thing that people can, because life becomes so much richer.
I think as well, it's important that it's this slow movements as well, to stay with the movement and stay with it. You don't have to rush. There's nowhere to go. And then we are present. We can really feel what's going on in the body.
Yes.
You don't have to be somewhere else. Because I think so often we grow up in a do this movement and then go to that movement, go to this movement. Can we stay with it? And what arises, which is an internal thing, what's arising in you in this movement?
Yes. Yes, and that's what I try and tell as well people that come to my class, that every that if you learn to be, first of all, if you learn through these movements, then people, it's like training a muscle. You know, it's like if you start to do a regular, like maybe it just, I think yoga, Qigong, my program, or anyone else's program, learns people in a gentle way, in a kind of enjoyable way to connect again to the body. And then the more they, in the beginning, there might be a lot of resistance. And then more and more they find out, oh, that's actually the way to go, to be present. And then they learn also, because I really try and tell people to just sit, you know, like Eckhart Tolle would do, just sit, be still and sit. And that's, I think, you know, that's is difficult sometimes for people. So then it helps to get all these tools that I share with them, or other teachers that do similar work to what I do, share tools that will help them to control their nervous system, to calm their nervous system, so that it becomes easier for them to be with themselves and to face all these difficult things that you can feel when you start to do this.
Can you tell us a bit about your vitality program?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so it starts with a little bit of movement and warming up practice. Then there is the Qigong, and then we will do the TRE, and then some more yoga stretches. And then there is the Wim Hof breathing. And at the end, there is Yoga Nidra, this kind of yogic sleep relaxation at the end. And every week, so it's a 6-week program, every week there is a different theme. And because it includes a little bit of mindfulness. So the first few weeks is about the breath, and then we go into body sensations. Then there's a theme of where is the mind? Is it in the past or in the future? Bring it into the present. And then the last week is all about loving kindness and finding the pleasant in the present. Because really, every moment we have the tendency to focus on what is not good, whereas every moment is an opportunity. There is always something positive to be with. And so that's what I teach people, that if they can learn to be to find, and then especially the easiest way is to find a place physically in the body or in the breath that you find pleasant, because the body and the breath are always in the present moment. You can also start to feel pleasant or better if you start to think of a nice place. It also works actually to increase your and change your energy by thinking of nice places. But the problem with that is that then maybe you think of a nice beach or something, and then you think, oh yeah, I was there with that person, and oh yeah, and then I had that cocktail or whatever, you know, and then the mind goes again. So yeah, I try to teach people um, to find it enjoyable, or to find the pleasant in their bodies or in their breath. And then in the end, you know, I used it myself once, this practice, in when I had to go to the dentist for a root canal. That's not a pleasant thing, but I actually what I did then with that dentist experience, I just, you know, it was the whole. Of course, I had how do you say it? It was with a how do you say it when you get
A drill.
yeah, no, how do you say it? Yeah, the drill, it had to do everything, the drill, but the little jab.
The injection.
Yeah, yeah. So it was, I did have that, but still, it's not so pleasant.
Yeah.
But it became like even the movement and whatever of the drill and the sound. But actually, that whole dentist experience for me, it became like I was in the deepest relaxed state in the dentist chair, just by being present with this. First, it was not so pleasant, this feeling, and then it became, you know, it changed completely, and I was so relaxed. It was just, it was a very interesting experience.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, so a lot of the practice we do here is taking the meditation out into your life, not just leaving it in the studio. I
Yeah.
think the real meditation is in everyday activities, how you
Yes.
speak with somebody, go into the shop, washing the dishes, whatever it is you have to do, walking down the street. That
Yes.
is meditation.
Yes. It becomes it's if yes, just being present
Mm.
and shining your light.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then we can make a change. That's why I feel it now in these times. It's we are the change, you know. We can, if we increase our vibration, then the people around us, you know, it's like a rippling effect. They will change. You know, we are doing such an important jobs now by being present, and it's challenging, you know, with people, you know, challenging times, but we can make a change, you know. We can really make a change.
I guess it shows that it's not, I guess, what we're trying to do, it's what we're being, which would be the greatest change.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
Can you talk a bit as well about breathing? Because it's
Mhm.
something that I've really got into recently, and it's something that that's done from the moment this body's born. Yet we spend so little time actually on it or looking at it.
Mhm.
And especially, I know that you did a lot of breath work with Wim Hof
Mhm.
about holding the breath as well, and the speed of breathing. Can you go into that a bit?
Mhm.
Explaining different kinds of breathing practices.
Mhm. Yes, we can do I can share some practice.
Yes.
Yes, so there is one practice that because the breath really is such an important part of us connecting to the present moment. And also with our breath, we can really self regulate the nervous system. So when we are more stressed, you can use your breath to calm your nervous system. There is one particular type of breathing called in the yogic terms the Ujjayi breath or ocean breathing. And it's the breath where you feel the breath at the back of the throat. So the easiest thing to experience it or to learn it is to place your hand here and then imagine that the hand's like a mirror and you go like this, like so you're fogging the mirror, and so you feel the breath at the back of the throat. And I will come a bit closer to the microphone. So you can do this also without your mouth open, but with your mouth closed. And it sounds like this. So do you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you breathe like that, then you place one hand on your abdomen and one on your chest, then you close your eyes and you start. It activates our vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is the main nerve of the autonomic nervous system. When the vagus nerve is activated, we switching on the parasympathetic nervous system, and that helps to really calm our nervous system. So that's why this is such a healing and calming type of breathing. So we can just do it for maybe a minute. Yeah. So on the inhale, the belly expands, and on the exhale, it deflates. And just slow breaths. Just keep focusing on the breathing. Stay present with the breath. The body and the breath are always in the present. And then you can open your eyes. How did you find that?
Very calming, very relaxing. I guess it's a general gratitude just to be aware of the breath.
Mm-hmm.
Practice, yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
And how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel also relaxed. Yeah.
So Mieke, you've looked a bit at neuroscience.
Yes.
How has that infused in your yoga, TRE,
Mm-hmm.
cold water?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before the Wim Hof experience in 2012, I did a 2-year study, and it was a combination of neuroscience, yoga therapy, and mindfulness. And it was, yeah, I really learned how the brain works and how yoga can influence the brain and all these practices. So therefore, that's I think also one of the reasons why I wanted to learn more about the Wim Hof breathing, because I knew that that type of breathing is normally very strong and, for example, it wouldn't be good for certain people. You know, if you have manic depression and you are in a manic episode, for example, it can be a bit too much to do that because it can make you more. So that's why. Um, I understood. Okay, certain breed because we certain conditions need more calming approach, and other conditions need more uplifting. Then there are the study I did also you learn that well you can see it with meditators that their structure of their brain changes, and with Wim Hof for example as well. That's why I also understand why it's so effective. What happens is when we go into the cold water, it's a very scary experience, but we go in there and we choose to use the breath to keep calm and calm our nervous system. What happens then is that there are changes being measured in also in the center of the brain called the amygdala, which is our fear center. So they used to think that we cannot change the brain, but now actually they know that long-term meditators, their brain look very different to people that have not been meditating. And actually, when I went to Poland with Wim Hof, it was interesting as well because his method had been studied by a hospital. But then my whole program, that the 6-week vitality program, I explain in that book. It's a 60 pages book that you get. I explain all of the neuroscience behind all of the practice and what it does to the brain. But when I was and also the Wim Hof method, I explain what happens in the body when we do these things. But with Wim Hof, it was also when he had received a phone call when I was in Poland from another professor who was not someone looking at the nervous system, but more at and also not the immune system, but it was a professor on DNA. And this professor, Pierre Capel, was very excited because he said, I want to meet you because I've seen the results of this study that they did in this hospital in the Netherlands. And when I look at this study, I can see that there is much more going on DNA level. So Wim got very excited as well. But yeah, we know that I think it's again the power of the now moment. I spoke with him about it. I asked him which of the components do you think is the one that does the trick? Is it the cold water? You know, because people were healing from their all their autoimmune conditions. So I asked, is it and other illnesses? Is it the breathing, or is it the focus, or is it the being in the now moment, or is it the cold? And he thought himself at that time that it was the being in the now. And that's what I would think as well. But it's very difficult to measure because apparently just the breathing also helps. This is what because they have started to do a little bit more research in it. But I think it's the really being present, tapping into being connected to our source and increasing our frequency I think that happens by being present with the pleasant and with the unpleasant, and we are strengthening and becoming stronger and stronger. But yes, so there are changes. Of course, there is this thing called epigenetics where we switch on and off genes, and it's happening. We can all do it. Well, it's not like we cannot do it. It's something that is happening through us when we are present. It's not if you know, yeah.
It seems that the cold weather, or whether it be fear or breathing, are tools to get to that moment of who
Yeah,
you really are, that presence. From
yeah,
there, it's where what we'll say the magic occurs.
yes.
Not by you, being done through you.
Through you, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's what I would say. Yeah, it's not, it's coming through us.
I guess that it
We are
allows.
part of it. We are all part of it. But you can feel it when you, and especially with a group of people, you feel like even you and I just breathing just now, you feel the connection, which is wonderful.
And living in that way, I guess it allows you to live in a place of wonder, in the unknown. What's going to happen next? You don't know, and you're
I'm so glad.
comfortable with being in the uncomfortable.
Yes, I'm so glad you're saying that because this is such an important part as well. And also of we should every moment is actually we are being born every moment. You know, in one moment we can change everything. Well, or everything is changing if we forget. If we just forget the past, or not forget. It's not about forgetting. It's just leave the past behind, be in the now, and there is so many options if you really trust the unfolding of this magic.
I guess definitely, and even I guess the simple thing just to realize is, even if you think of the past, you're thinking of the past now. If you imagine the future, you're imagining the future now. Now is all we've ever known. That's all there really is, and that's the reality.
Mhm.
But we get confused by objective thoughts and feelings of outside.
Mhm. Yes.
So, where do you think you'll be going next with your practice?
Oh, it's, I mean, changing every day, you know. I don't know. I just let it unfold, I guess.
I want to ask you that feeling that you got in the Austrian mountains,
Ah,
when
yeah.
you had that expansive feeling,
Mm.
is that something that stayed with you up until now?
Yeah, I have that to be honest, I have that quite a lot. You know, when I go to the beach or when I'm in the cold water, when I'm in nature, I find it quite easy to feel that feeling again. But at that time, it was very profound. But now I feel that's happening a lot more if I really am present.
Mm.
Yeah, but that's something that is a gradual thing. I think now I feel these kind. That's Yeah, you somehow, I don't know, do you feel this as well? Do you have these experiences?
Yes, I mean, there was a kind of profound one.
Mm-hmm.
And then from seeing that, it doesn't go because it's been seen,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Of course, things arise in life, you might have troubles and things happen, but
Mm-hmm.
underneath all of that,
Mm-hmm.
you've seen that you are not those things,
Mm-hmm.
this person, this small me with thoughts and ideas. And then from there, you can actually really embrace the experiences because there's no
Yeah,
longer the resistance.
yes. And also a lot of the fear goes away, I
Mm.
feel. It's I think if you have, for everyone who's had this kind of experience, and you can, I think that's what you just said. If you bring yourself back to that moment, then that even on its own is a practice to feel again that connection, to remember the experience, and then really feel it again, and then that is one way how you, I feel, how you can again feel, if say you were feeling a bit ungrounded, or you feel it's not one of your best days, then I think it helps to think back of these kind of big profound experiences, just bring back that moment, that into the now moment now.
Yes, because even in those moments when you're feeling ungrounded, you're feeling, something's happened to you, you're going through things, it's happening in presence. And
Hmm.
you are that presence, which is kind of always still here and now.
Yes. Yeah, and it's I would wish for everyone to be able to feel this, just this peace, and that we can connect with humans again in this way, because it's, yeah.
I think maybe there's something that's kind of happening, that we are connecting again. Of course, we're doing it now through Zoom, but maybe
Yes.
when we're able to go out there and really speak to people, we're going to realize how important it is. And
Yes.
see, and it's not an other walking down the street. I guess
Mm.
it's you. It's
Mm.
not someone in another country. It's you,
Mhm.
and there is this kind of connectedness
Mhm.
that maybe in this time when we have been forced to be apart, we're really going to, hopefully, with the possibilities there, that we can relish
Mhm.
being together and start learning and listening.
Yes. I think a lot of people are waking up to this now. Um, yeah.
What's happening inside of you right now? I see you smiling. How do
I'm
you feel?
happy. It's nice to connect. I'm really happy to do this. Anything that I can do and talk about what I do, and about my passion for life, and I love. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's just having kind of these discussions when you're open to listening and learn about something. It's just
Mm.
amazing, and you don't know. It's really amazing. You don't know who's listening. You don't know who will get what from a particular conversation. You
Yes.
just don't know.
Yeah, I think it's such a good idea that you do these conversations. It's wonderful.
Well,
Is
thank you
that
very much.
also what you like about it? The connecting in this way with people?
Yes, I love that, and also it's I guess in the time, I've come across many, well, we're all extraordinary people, but people who I've learned a lot from, who
Yes.
don't say much, or they won't speak about it unless they're asked.
I was going to say, I'm not that one of them.
Yeah,
I speak a lot.
yeah. So yeah, or you know, or people who you just see and you could walk past them and you just wouldn't know that they have an understanding.
Yes.
And I thought it would be wonderful just to speak to these people, because sometimes, like at the end of your classes, there's not a lot of time to sit and chat, or you know, we could go off and do different things. So, and also maybe even bring people together of various practices, like what you've done, which is one of the reasons I enjoyed your classes. You brought together so many things: TRE, cold weather, Qigong, Tai Chi, neuroscience into the practice.
Yeah.
So you always coming away with something.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope that people who do my classes, that they that they take the tools that they, because there's different, like a whole toolbox of different things, that they learn all the different breathing practices and all the different movements that can help them, and then they can use whatever they feel, because someday they might want to breathe, other days they might want to do the TRE. Yeah, and actually through the Zoom, it's easier for people now to share also their, because people are at home, so it's not the rush like at the end of a class with rolling up the mat. And to be honest, it's been very nice for people to be in their own place to do this practice, because in a way, when you feel like that and you've just been doing all that work on yourself, and then you have to go in a full tube, it's not. In a way, it's very good that it's possible now in their own homes. Plus, I'm in Holland. I was not, I was not being, otherwise, I would not have been able to even, if it wasn't for this wonderful technology,
Yeah.
now I can still be connected with everyone in England, and it's like great. I have people now from all over Europe coming in the Zoom room, and now we sit here. It's wonderful.
Yes. Yes.
So I think it's opened up a lot of, and I don't know how it is with you, but through this lockdown and everything, I made new connections.
Definitely.
Isn't that great?
Definitely. I've been on Zoom with people from all over the world, and who I've met. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. Well, Mieke, we'll leave it there. I'd like to say thank you very much. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. It's been such an honor to have been invited.
Yeah, it's been great to see you again, and for you to share your knowledge of your yoga and different practices. So thank you again.
Yes, you're very welcome. I hope that the listeners enjoyed our conversation.
Well, this has been a Rana Usha's conversation on the spiritual journey with Mieke. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Goodbye.